Alright, while everything is torn apart, I'll show you how the idea works. I rough out with this thing, which is a Craftsman wobble blade, and I have it set at, almost 3/4 of an inch. And it, of course, just sits in there. You can see how it's dishing it. This pivots on that point right there, which corresponds here in the jig. And the jig rides in this temporary track that I've just got lumber clamped to the fence guides. And then it's held down with that lump of steel down there, and it's like 60 pounds. So that sits right up here next to the edge of the cut and does a fantastic job of holding everything down. This point here, it's time for me to switch over to the blade I hope will give me a better finish. And the two of them are the same diameter. The wobble blade is hardly a fine tool, so it's been leaving these rough edges. So I'm hoping to switch over to this one and get much better edges, though I'll have to go much slower. However, you probably should start at the beginning and see how the process works. Alright, a quick look at how the jig functions before we begin. This is the bottom side of our table. I drop this pin down in, pinning this at a fixed distance from the sled. It's one of those things that takes like 2 or 3 hands. You just got to go slow. There'll be clamps that grab here and hold it in place. I'll raise the table up into it, spin it around, raise the table, spin it around. You get the basic idea. So it's working fine. Horrible cuts, which I imagine has a lot to do with the fact that I'm using a wobble blade to rough it out. So now I'm thinking of switching to a much finer blade. And then go through it one more time. Clearly I'm going to have to go much slower. I mean, that wobble blade's taking a half-inch bite each time. So I'm clearly going to have to go much slower, but I hope that will give me the smooth cuts that I desire. This was a good piece to test, because other than a little pocket over here, there was almost no burl in this one. So this is decent. There's cracks going all the way through. See the light flicker as it goes past? This was a decent one to test with. I think the idea is working fine. Get a little red in it. The idea is working. Just needs a little refining. With luck, this is the final trip around the merry-go-round. I have the fine tooth blade in there. I'm going to edge up and push my outer rim just a little bit, just to force it to cut a new, hopefully crisper edge there. And then we'll very slowly back it all the way off. Probably making 2, maybe even 3 revolutions and much smaller jumps with the saw blade. It's working fine, but I gotta make even smaller jumps, so there's no point in watching me take 20 minutes to make this last cut. I'm gonna shut the camera off. I'll turn it back on when we're done. Well, there we are. Dished 1 inch. I could have gone farther, but this is nice, sort of like a drink lip kind of thing. When I'm done, I'll pop out all this bark, even these sort of jagged, ragged edges. Clean up this little bit here. It's got some bark hanging onto it, and I will definitely have to epoxy some of this stuff. But no, I'm quite pleased with that, and I don't know how you would do it any other way. I think it'd be even neater if I went down another half-inch, but I'm very pleased. Yeah, I don't know how you do it another way. Really big lathe, maybe.